dancers, welcome back to our channel. I'm Julie and I'm the owner and one of the instructors here at Broche Ballet, a ballet school just for adults in Denver, Colorado. Today we're going to talk about Tombe pas de bourrée. I know this sounds like a super basic step, but it is extremely versatile and it has so many technical details to it. It is a super important connecting step that enables you to get a great pirouette prep, a fabulous saut de chat, and a really dancing, clean, detailed combination. So we're going to talk about 3 different versions of the Tombe pas de bourrée today. We're going to talk about 2 very similar but with different arm coordinations, and then a third one which will be for a grande allegro that you might use. If you are having fun with us, make sure you like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. It really does help us out. So let's get started. So Tombe pas de bourrée is a connector step, well 4 connector steps to be exact. It can finish in many different places, it can start in many different places, but it's used all over the place. We're going to talk about some common mistakes with it. We're going to talk about how to do it. Then we're going to talk about 3 different versions of it that you might see in class. So Tombe pas de bourrée. Tombe is going to be to fall. We're going to think about picking up, let's say we're going to pick up that back leg. In this case is my right leg. If you're watching me mirror image, it's your left leg. So we're going to think about stepping onto that foot. That's the tombe. The tombe is very important in a weight transfer type of situation. We don't want to end up on both of our feet in a tombe. That's not a tombe. That's going to be a step into a 4th or a lunge. We want this to actually step to 1 foot and not be stuck on both feet. So in this tombe, typically we'll kind of come up and over it and fall onto it. Couple points. Generally speaking, in ballet class, you're going to want your hips facing the corner of the room. We don't want our hips facing the front of the room. That's a very jazzy kind of style. That means that my back leg is going to end up in a low arabesque when I do a tombe. So I'm here in a low arabesque. I'm not in an à la seconde. I'm in a low arabesque facing the corner of the room. You want to show that off for a brief moment in time before you go into something else. We oftentimes forget about that back leg. That's the first mistake. We forget about that back leg. We leave it dangling back there. We flex the foot. We turn it in. We stay on it. We don't think about that foot back there. But you really want to think about transferring your weight from 1 foot, push off with those toes back there so that leg reaches and elongates into a beautiful turned out low arabesque. So we're going to think tombe, reach that leg, extend it. Don't let it bend or do anything funky back there. Second big mistake we make, coming up into the pas de bourrée. So coming up into the pas de bourrée out of the tombe, we think about stepping up or underneath ourselves, and we do all kinds of crazy stuff to try to get that back leg underneath ourselves. You want to think, easiest way to think, and when you're starting off with it, this is kind of the easiest, quickest way to think through it. We go tombe low arabesque, sous. So you're going to think about taking your pelvis from a slight tip, really pull it underneath yourself, and have that pelvis tipping be how you move your leg. Don't think about trying to move your leg underneath it and climbing up. Think about tip and tuck. Yeah, so we're thinking forward, up, and under, and that motion pulls your leg under as opposed to vice versa. We don't put the leg under and then try to catch up with the pelvis. That's going to be super important when we talk about momentum in a sec. So remember that for our momentum conversation, that this hip movement is really important for getting up into the pas de bourrée. Last thing on the tombe is that oftentimes when we go into step here, we don't think toe ball heel, and we get this look where we step from the heel to the toe, or we step flat-footed. We want to think about coming out with a gorgeous pointed foot and rolling through it. So you have this gliding motion of 1 leg to the other. Fall, right? So as this one goes toe ball heel, this one goes pushing off the toe. So it's the reverse. We're coming down, rolling through, coming down on the front, pushing through the back. So we have that manipulation of the feet and manipulation of those toes to help us give our balance. So 3 things you're thinking about. You're thinking about tombe, hips to the corner with the weight transfer, number 1. Then you're coming up to sous for the pas de bourrée. You're going to come up for the back side front. Then you're thinking about rolling through that foot as you step on it for the tombe. So after the tombe, we've got the pas de bourrée. That can end in so many places. You might end up in sous. You might end up in a plie 5th. You might end up in a plie 4th. Those are kind of the most common. Other things could happen as well, but those are pretty common. So let's talk about a couple different variations. Tombe pas de bourrée, the most common, is going to have the arms coming down and opening as you do the pas de bourrée. So that arm coordination is going to be the most common. So let's say we started from B+. The arms are going to come down and through. As you tombe, they're going to open. Pas de bourrée, they're going to sort of allonger and then come down. This could be different if you're coming into a pirouette. It could go tombe, back, side, forth, and then come straight into that pirouette preparation. That's another possibility. It really depends on what's coming next. Second kind of arms you can do with this. This is a little bit different of a foot technique as well. So we just did kind of up and over onto that leg. You can also do this effacé line. This is the front arm, back leg, opposite arm as leg, plie into it, and then push into the tombe. So as we think about plieing as we go into the tombe, we're kind of hanging back on this initial foot, and then we propel ourselves forward. This gives you some nice momentum as we think about reaching this foot, reach, and then push. As opposed to up and over, it's kind of more of a gliding action into that tombe pas de bourrée after that. So that whole thing would look like this. We would do the tombe pas de bourrée. Same thing that can end in fifth, fourth, different arms, but that's a different way to do the tombe. It's more of a slide into it rather than an up and over into that tombe. All right, dancers, the last kind of tombe pas de bourrée we're going to learn here is the kind for a grand allegro combination. You might see it in a tombe pas de bourrée, glissade saut de chat combination at the end of class. It is a super common way to finish a ballet class. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out on our channel so you know what I'm talking about. Then come back here to learn about the tombe pas de bourrée and how it fits in the context of all these other tombe pas de bourrées. So what you'll see is they'll go tombe. One arm is going to come out first. So we tombe with the same arm as leg, and then as we pas de bourrée, the other arm is going to come out. I finished in fourth position, so I can glissade out of that. So a couple key points about this tombe pas de bourrée. Why is it different? It looks the same. Well, two differences. Number one is the arms. They are a different arm because we do one arm than the other. The reason is you see how my shoulder is actually a little bit back here behind my leg. That's going to give me nice momentum there into the glissade there. So that is going to go one arm, the other, glissade. The second big detail here is the speed. So in a tombe pas de bourrée into a pirouette and a waltzy combo, it's maybe quicker, but in a grand allegro, it's going to be fast. It's going to go tombe pas de bourrée, and it's going to really move it. So what we want to think about as we do the pas de bourrée, from here, we're going to use this pelvic tilt coming up and under to give us momentum. That's going to swing the back leg under to almost kick the front foot out of the way. You really want that to be a fast weight transfer from the back foot up, up, down. That should be a very quick weight transfer. That's going to come again from the tilt of the pelvis. And then this leg coming back up and under is going to push forward to come right underneath your body so that it can take your weight right away. The faster you can bring it underneath you, the faster the other foot can come out in front. So if we're here and here, then that works. But if we put it down over here, we don't have that same ability to get our weight onto it. So again, that one goes a little quicker. We go tombe, backside front. You notice that it's almost more like a kick. We almost kind of float across the floor. Kicking is not a very gentle word to use in ballet class, but it's kind of a nice way to think about it in the beginning when you're thinking about the difference between a gentle tombe, step, step down, and a grand allegro, where you're going to want to get speed, tombe, and down, where you really give yourself a push with that back leg. You pull it underneath yourself, you kick your front foot out of the way. All right, dancers, I hope you had a lot of fun with this little tombe pas de bourrée series here. Don't be fooled by how simple it seems. It is a really difficult step with lots and lots and lots of details to make it look super clean, gorgeous, and fancy. Until next time, dancers, take care.